Chapter 18. How to Protect Yourself Against Injurious Thought Attraction. Never expect something you do not wish to happen. Expectancy is a powerful magnet. By your desire, you attract what you want. If you fear something and think about it, you attract it to you. The law works for and against you unless you know how to control the forces. If you are thinking about something that you don't want to happen, don't you see you are attracting this just the same as if you desired it? Many teachers tell you can do away with fear by repeating, "I am not afraid," not realizing that you are thus admitting that you are afraid. A better plan is to say, "I am full of courage. I am able to protect myself. Why should I not be as strong as anyone else? Why should I think that someone hurts me by his thoughts or action? I am positive, not negative." If at any time you are inclined to fear, say over and over again, "I have courage, courage." You cannot say this and think it and yet suffer from fear at the same time. The power of sympathy. By means of the wireless, we are able to transmit messages across the ocean. The messages are recorded in an instrument that is in tune with it, otherwise the message could not be received correctly. There is no question that the human mind is a more delicate piece of mechanism than man could ever create, but he cannot record the message sent by others. True, there have been people that were in tune with each other who could receive each other's thoughts to a limited extent. When we have this sense developed, which it surely will be, it will be more of a practical than some of the more present senses. It is not that many years ago that we did not realize we could transmit messages through space without wires. The same forces were ready to be used for hundreds of years before, but no one had gained knowledge of how to use these forces. If two machines can be so perfectly adjusted that we can transmit messages across thousands of miles, there is no evidence why two human brains that are so delicately constructed could not do the same. We have evidence to back up this theory. I could cite a number of cases that I have investigated where people were so perfectly in sympathy with each other that they know if the other is sick, no matter how great the distance separates them. You have most of you read or know of such cases, so I will not take up space with them. Have you not been speaking to someone that the same thought is spoken simultaneously? Those that know each other very well can often detect what the other is thinking about. All this only proves that they have the power to transmit thought, if only know how to develop it. I expect to spend a good deal of my time in the future in studying along these lines, and someday the results of my experiments will no doubt be published. You certainly have the powers, and they certainly will be developed in usefulness in time. In order that living instruments may be used to transmit messages by wireless, they must be perfectly in sympathy. Then this must be the case if two persons wish to send messages to each other. We know that there must be sympathy before we know what is going on in another's brain, and to make our own perhaps felt. You cannot sympathize with another's sorrows until you know what his emotions are. The value of sympathy consists in harmonizing two persons so each one is susceptible to the influence of the other's thoughts. If you want to draw people to you, you must cultivate sympathy. A sympathetic listener will have people open their hearts to them. There is not a question that if our brains were attuned exactly to each other, that they could transmit messages the same as the wireless instrument. When two minds are in perfect tune, there is a double force at work. You have both the power of the spoken word and the projected thought, which will surely reach the other's brain. You hear people say, "We thoroughly understand each other," and they do. Their minds are so perfectly attuned to each other that they understand each other's meanings before the words are expressed. They know what each other will say. You can easily see the sympathy, if it is genuine, must exercise a very beneficial influence among friends, and even in the practical affairs of life. By sympathy you are able to secure a man's complete thoughts, and this must be to your advantage. The person that is shy or very reserved may hold back part of his thoughts that he would like to convey, but if you can fathom what he did not say, it will certainly help you, and you certainly can do this if you have sympathy enough of the right kind. Sympathy is the key that unlocks the door of every heart. Those that you can sympathize with are good for you to know. If you have no sympathy, you cannot give back what another gave you, and therefore that person will not be attracted toward you. If, on the other hand, you meet someone whose sympathy seems blunted, in whom you feel no corresponding sympathy, you can feel assured that the person will not be one worthwhile knowing, as you have nothing in common. Without sympathy, your friendship will never be of the inner kind. You will never understand the potent force of the human mind without this. It is capable of solving a riddle that otherwise you would never understand. Sympathy, like everything else, can be cultivated. It does not belong to just a few. Everyone has some, but it is more developed in some than in others. It is worthy of cultivating and will help you in becoming magnetic and attracting friends. The physical aids in developing sympathy are in the voice and the eyes. The sympathetic voice is transmitted by a soft-toned voice and a clear gaze that speaks understandingly. When you are talking to a person, try to feel like the person you are talking to feels. We do not mean that you should accept his thoughts unless they agree with the way you think, but put yourself in his place and see if the facts or views are not just. Do not reject his views until you've understood them. You will find that this will be greatly broaden your mind and help you to understand all kinds of people. The golden rule of life is to make allowance for everyone but yourself. If you do this, you will find that others will make allowance for you. No one was ever happy without sympathy. If you give it to others, you will receive it in return. Laugh, and the world laughs with you. Weep, and you weep alone. One of my friends is, I think, the happiest man in the world. His motto is, you can get something good out of every person you meet if your sympathies are large enough. Think this over and see if it will not help you. It has helped me. It is our duty to try to be bright and interesting and cheerful. In pleasing others, we add to their pleasure and to our own. Of course, in order to please others, you will have to study them. When you learn how to please others, you will know how to manage them, and learning how to manage others, you will learn how to better manage yourself. There is an occult law that pays us back in our own coin. If you are a distributor of hope, trust, sympathy, and brightness, you will receive these in turn. Your life is not an independent one, but one of a conglomerate whole. It was never the divine plan that you should stand alone. You need help and encouragement from others. They need your help and encouragement. You can strengthen your self-reliance and overcome your weakness by associating with others. Whatever you are in need of, if you will give freely to others, you will receive it from in return. You can learn something from everyone you meet. It is your duty to learn all you can, so that you may give the knowledge to others. One individual depends more or less on another. Kipling expresses very well in the following your correct aim in life. Help me to need no help from man, that I may help such a man as need. Only the wise can help. We can become wise by sympathizing with each other and drawing out their experiences by studying their experience, and thus learn what will be practical for us.